Do you know the story of Isaac Newton and the apple tree? Probably, but just as probably, as a child, you were told that it went down something like this, him getting hit on the head with an apple that fell from a tree he was under. Well, it turns out there's absolutely no reason to believe that's what happened, and yet that story has unbelievable staying power. But did an apple falling from a tree give him the inspiration to come up with the theory of gravity? Yes. Well, maybe. And it's weird that it's a maybe because we have Isaac Newton himself talking about the incident. We think. 50 years after the fact, a writer who knew Isaac Newton well and interviewed him wrote this down. We went into the garden and drank tea under the shade of some apple trees, only he and myself, that meaning the biographer and Newton. Amidst other discourse, he told me he was just in the same situation as when formerly the notion of gravitation came into his mind. Why should that apple always descend perpendicularly to the ground, thought he to himself, occasioned by the fall of an apple, as he sat in a contemplative mood. Why should it not go sideways or upwards, but constantly to the earth's center? Assuredly the reason is that the earth draws it. There must be a drawing power in matter, and the sum of the drawing power in the matter of the earth must be in the earth's center. Well, that seems pretty conclusive, so why do people question the authenticity of the story? First, though, you'll notice there's nothing at all about him getting hit on the head. So we can definitely dispense with that. It's just an interesting case study in how a story changes over time in that game of telephone kind of way, and then the truth can never really catch up and overtake the bastardized version. But what about the controversy? Well, the writer who 50 years later wrote down the incident was kind of a fawning admirer, even though he was an acquaintance of Newton's. And scholars worry that biographers back then were not as rigorous as they are today, so really, how could the story have never come up before then? Are we sure Newton wasn't kind of misremembering the whole incident, if there even was an incident? Some think Newton was making up kind of a parable on the spot because of the apple tree, and that the writer misinterpreted his words. I mean, he certainly didn't have a tape recorder, and there's no way he was writing everything down in real time like a stenographer. Oh yeah, and in terms of skepticism regarding Newton's recollection itself, if it was accurately captured, this was 1 year before he died. He was 83 years old, which of course means he died at 84, remembering something from 50 years ago. And there's more specific reasons to doubt it that we won't detail in a 3-minute video. It has to do with where his thoughts on gravity were at by the time of 1666, which is when the apple incident supposedly occurred. But the story is generally accepted, and there's even an individual tree, no, not this one, that has always been identified as the tree in question. This here is a direct descendant of that tree. It's here in the States on the campus of Johns Hopkins University. Seeing it is what got me interested in the subject. And if you look up the subject of Newton's apple tree, you'll see this heading here, this is Wikipedia, about clones, because although the tree I saw is a descendant, you could call it that, what it really is biologically is a clone of the original, which we are looking at here, located in Woolsthorpe Manor. How English of a name is that? And that is about it for the video. Like I said, spurred my interest because I saw one of the clones. I say one of because there's more than one. Different universities and institutions have them. And anyway, like I said, that's about it. Thanks for watching.